What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cult of Con. I am Con Man, and thank you for being here. You know, normally I try to leave all of my big topic discussions for the main character podcast on Wednesday evenings, but I just couldn't stay away. Because within the last 48 hours, some crazy stuff has started to take shape. And I have to say I'm a little bit excited and also a little bit wary of what might happen. For those of you guys who don't know, within the last couple of days, this video was published by a relatively large Christian channel called Rise. It says some people have started to believe this. Now, what they're discussing here is the overarching theory, the concept of the millennial reign of Christ, the little season theory, and assorted beliefs and theories pertaining to that. Now, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time breaking down this video because, as you guys might know, it's an incredibly intellectually dishonest straw man attack. The person who was brought onto the video to discuss this theory of millennial reign, little season, etc., has little to no idea what the theory is about. I would argue that it's a very poorly researched person, at least, and at worst, deliberately an agent of deliberate misinformation. But with that being said, I'm not here to discuss their dumb video, because for the longest time, Christianity has faced off against new doctrines, new divisions, random prophets and cults that have sprung up throughout history, and in general, institutional Churchianity type Christianity has held firm. They've never felt the need to waste energy on the nonsense of the random offshoots of people like Elizabeth Clare Prophet or other, weird random guy in South America who calls himself the second coming of Christ. Those things generally don't pan out, and so the church has not felt it necessary to address them. They just kind of let people carry on with their nonsense. And I think that should be perhaps good news for those of us in this community, recognizing that they see the writing on the wall. You see, the church at large has enjoyed an unmitigated control scheme in the West and around the world for hundreds of years. You see, all modern futurist dispensationalist Christianity, the current churchianity of the world, all stems from the corruption of the Catholic Church. And although many non-denominational and breakaway divisions of Christianity would call themselves a Protestant type church, it's important to note that the person who invented Protestantism died a Catholic. He was a Catholic. When he created the doctrines of Protestantism, he remained a Catholic. He died a Catholic, and he never resigned from his Catholic authority. So whether or not you dignify the teachings of Protestantism, it's important that you know that it comes from the same control scheme, the same source. Now, I think it's probably normal for Christians to face off against non-believers, agnostics, atheists, and the like. But when it comes to battling about the doctrine itself within the church, Christians are rather inexperienced. They're not necessarily a bunch of apologetics themselves, and on top of that, most of the time they don't even know what the Bible says. Most people treat Christianity in the modern age as a sort of country club hangout that they go to on Sundays. Someone with a degree from seminary will give a spiel about a certain chapter or a certain book, and it's very formulaic. We've talked about that. At the end of the day, the church at whole is kind of a moot point. They have incredible institutional control. Some people escape the brainwashing. Some people enter into the brainwashing. But at the end of the day, they have gone on unmitigated for hundreds of years. But the writing is on the wall. This is the beginning of the end. And when I say the beginning of the end, I don't mean the end for you, me, and you. I mean the end of churchianity. Because the fact of the matter is that the teachings of Jesus Christ, they don't corroborate with the church. They don't align with the Catholic and Protestant doctrines that run modern churches in the West. And so the reason you see individuals like this Rise person and their guest and those affiliated with this angle that they're taking, these people are afraid. You see, they were never afraid when people said God wasn't real. They stood their ground. They were never afraid when government institutions threatened their tax exemption status. They stood their ground. They didn't care about cults or self-proclaimed prophets because they knew that nobody had anything against them. They knew that nobody had any substance. You'd have to be a wacko to join a cult or to believe in some kind of a random person's prophetic teachings without any scriptural backing. But you see, the problem with this movement that you and I are a part of, this quest to know the truth, the problem is that the truth will set you free. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And you see, that poses a major problem. The Christian church, it's a control scheme. It's a profiteering network that remains tax exempt. They don't sell you anything. On one side of the street is a Lutheran church, on the other side of the street is a Baptist church, and right down the road is a Catholic church. They're already divided amongst themselves. So why are they wasting energy on you and me and our tiny little weirdo cult on the corner of nowhere online? I think it says a lot about the power of the truth of the red words of Christ. You see, this group believes wholeheartedly that Jesus told the truth when he said to his peers and the people among him that it would be soon that he returned, that they would not taste death before they saw him return with his kingdom, that those who pierced him would live to see his return. Those are the literal words of Christ. So if you're someone who says that you believe in Jesus or you claim to be a Christian, if you ignore those words, it is you who is suffering from poorly fleshed out doctrines, from a delusion or a deception. Now, the difference between us and them is that we don't make any money. The modern Christian church represents a multi-hundreds of billion-dollar annually industry. It's a control scheme. When butts are in the seats, they make money. When the hat comes down the line, the little pan, the little basket, you put money in. That's the formula. That's how it works, okay? And so the reason why this group of people, these individuals, have decided to start dignifying our weird conspiracy corner by, putting up a straw man argument that they can tear down in their own echo chamber. The reason they're doing that is because they are afraid. Like I said, they can see the writing on the wall. They know as well as you know and I know that Churchianity is coming to an end. This is the beginning of the end. Because what's happening is that people are gaining the ability to think for themselves. I don't need someone else to read the Bible to me. I can read it myself. I don't need to be told by some multi-billion-dollar industry how I'm supposed to interpret the book. I'm not going to be told by a multi-billion-dollar industry what I'm allowed to believe. And see, this is where it all comes down. Every person who is given a chance to hear these stories, to see this evidence, to take the words of Christ literally, to every person who is presented that opportunity, there is an inherent risk to the church itself. Not just because when you learn the truth about your identity in Christ, about the truth that his teachings are real and that he keeps his word, learning that empowers you. You don't need to visit a building or put money into someone's hat. You don't need to pay the salary of a pastor who drives around a Range Rover while kids starve in the same neighborhood. The difference between us and them is that we are using the truth, biblically based, historically correct, archaeologically backed truth. And that is why the church is afraid. Because they have survived and thrived on ignorance and on delusion and on overarching control schemes. That power structure that they've created is being threatened by the truth right now. And the writing is on the wall. It's only a matter of time before the truth about the little season, the millennial kingdom, and the truth about Christ keeping his word. It's only a matter of time until that truth begins to break its way into the mainstream church. And if you're a person who truly loves Jesus, if you truly love God, if you're truly committed to that life, finding this information will change how you perceive everything. You no longer need some sort of a pastor to serve as the mediator between you and God. We don't need popes and priests. We are the children of God. It is He who calls us to Himself so that we might know Him, the way, the truth, and the life, so that we might be saved. And I believe that Jesus Christ is the King of the earth. I believe that He is alive today. And I believe that He kept His word. The church is woefully ill-prepared to defend themselves against this radical and true breakaway faction of Christianity. This is the wedge that will split and crush modern Christendom. The modern church will not survive the coming year's revelations. I'm not making a prediction. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm telling you data. And these people are proving it. The fact that they would spend any time having a discussion about it, attempting to, don't look at any man behind the curtain. Don't look at this stuff. Just let me explain to you why they're crazy and don't listen to it. I think many truthers have experienced this before, the proverbial gatekeeping. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the issue here is that these people in the modern church they're trying to preserve their economy. If you have a degree in seminary, if you work at a church in administration or as an elder or as a pastor or as a teacher, in some way, your livelihood is being threatened. How are you going to pay your bills when people realize they don't need to pay you money to get into the kingdom? How are you going to support your Churchianity religion when people realize that you don't do anything to better the world? Every block in this country has a church on it. Every town, 15, 20, 100 church buildings. Yet they're all divided amongst each other. They're all avoiding the big picture, that you live in a country in the West where aborting your kid is lawful. It's legal in America. You can abort your kid. What's the church doing about that? Nothing. You see, people are going to realize that the church is ineffective, dishonest, selfish, usurious. The list goes on. The modern church does not bring people to Christ. It turns people away. The modern church ignores rampant accusations of sexual assault and pedophilia in the clergy. The church does what it can to appease the overarching federal government who signs their checks, who says, you, my friend, are tax exempt. Do you think that your conspiracy cult on the internet can get a tax exemption? Ain't no way. So what you need to know is that the church gets it. These people on the fringe of Christianity who consider themselves all-knowing yet have not even begun to do any research. These people can tell that the threat is real. This is the beginning of the end. The modern Christian church will collapse under the weight of its own illegitimacy. It is not a uniform entity serving God. There is no unity. There is no harmony. Everybody picks and finds a church that makes them comfortable, and the churches do what they can to water down the truth so that they can sell it to you. Because your ass in a seat means money in the tithe bucket, and that's how they pay their rent. That's how they pay their pastors so they can drive around Range Rovers. Okay, I know that this country is absolutely full of people who love Jesus Christ. But the problem is they've spent their entire life being taught by bad teachers. And whether these teachers were willfully ignorant or whether they were involved in some kind of an indoctrination scheme is irrelevant, because the impact of what they've done is real and tangible. The world is full of people who have fallen away because the ineffective nature of the church, the corrupted nature of the church. Any normal person, any atheist, any agnostic can look at the church and say, you do not practice what you preach. Millions of starving children, all kinds of anti-human legislature. You're ineffective, you're useless, and you're dying. The modern Christian church is dying, whether it's the division of new doctrines or the continual assault from the anti-God agenda. The church cannot stand on its own anymore. And they know that the most destructive, the most terrifying thing ever is that this will happen from within. That brothers and sisters in Christ will be compelled by the Holy Spirit to look. And if they look, they will see. And if they see, they will know the truth, and the truth will set them free. Modern Christianity has relied on a system of indoctrination, of control, of usury, and money. They own land. They run businesses. They operate free of taxation. It's an overarching control scheme, and it's losing its luster. People don't like going to church. They don't like being taught foolish doctrines that get them nowhere in life. People want results. You know, Jesus was a man of results. He kept his word. He proved to the world that he represented a kingdom of power and that the rules were different than what we've been taught. Modern Christianity is a massive population of people who have learned bad teachings from bad teachers. But it's like I said, the writing is on the wall. It's only a matter of time before modern Christianity collapses completely, and all that will be left is the truth. I plan to continue to proliferate the truth. I plan to continue to shout it from the rooftops. I plan to continue to ride this little season party bus all the way. And I can tell you there's nothing more exciting to me than to watch these people squirm. I can't wait. It's a sad, terrible thing to imagine all of the doors being boarded up on all of those useless buildings. All of those people, bye-bye, you're going to have to go get a day job. It's time you work a real 9 to 5. All of you people stood here glorifying yourselves, thinking that you were more important than everybody else. You thought your little church game, your little country club show, you thought that was going to go on forever? Well, I hate to break it to you, but the king has a plan. See, he's waking up his people right now to the truth that Jesus Christ kept his word, that he did return in the lifetimes of those people whom he spoke when he told them that they would live to see it. He told the truth. And this current, twisted version of Christianity has everyone waiting for Christ to come back, expecting that he'll one day get here so that they can selfishly be raptured to avoid all problems, all trouble, while the rest of everybody else squirms and burns and struggles through tribulation. I've never heard something more selfish in my life. Pre-trib rapture, you guys are so crazy. I've never been more convinced in my life that it's time for the church to be destroyed. The people of God will find their way to the real flock. It's time to shut down these buildings. It's time to cut off that payroll for all these slime balls. It's time to get down to the nitty-gritty. I can tell you, it's the beginning of the end. Because there are a lot of honest, God-fearing, Christ-loving Christians who are going to find out that, yeah, you might have missed out on a 1,000-year reign. You might not have been a saint with God ruling for 1,000 years. But we're looking at an eternal promise. We're looking for an eternal kingdom. If you're a Christian and you're disappointed at the idea that you missed the millennial reign, then you got a lot of recalibrating to do, my friend. Our reward is not 1,000 years on earth. It's not $1 million on earth. Our reward is eternity in the kingdom with our King Jesus and the Father. Okay? That has nothing to do with you ruling and reigning. It has nothing to do with you teleporting out to avoid all the trouble as you giggle to yourself about how you knew you were so right and everyone else was wrong. There's going to be a real rude awakening in the church, and it's coming now. This little season party bus is going full steam ahead, and I can tell you right now that the people are scared. Just wait until these ideas start to really penetrate the modern church. There'll be people falling away from their religious institutions faster than you can count. The little season community grows every day, yet your church gets smaller and smaller. You're all going to end up like Kenneth Copeland, washed up and proven to be the rats that you are. Schemers, connivers, liars, doing whatever you can to market the gospel, taking the teeth out of it so that you can sell it. Well, those days are coming to an end, my friend. It is the beginning of the end, and I cannot wait for the downfall of religious Christians. There is only one truth, there is only one king, and there is only one true destiny. Narrow is the way, but broad is the gate that leads to destruction. Let me just parse this out a little bit. Many, many, many people will go the broad way. Narrow is the way and narrow is the gate, and few will find it. So in this world you have what? 2.5 or 3 or something billion Christians. How many little C's in believers do you have? I think that the answer is we are walking a very narrow path. They are stumbling blindly down a broad highway to hell. Okay? I'll just put it like that. You know, Christianity has done what it can. It's done its best effort to try to contain, you know, civil control and to continue to profit from the desperation of individuals. But now we don't have to promise people fake charismatic doctrines or prosperity gospel. We're not here to sell seats in a church or to fill a tithe bucket with money. We're not here to pay a salary to some preacher. We're here to get to the truth. We're here to get to Jesus. And we believe his words are true. There's probably more that I could say about this, but I don't want to go on forever. The point I'm trying to make is that the church is cooked, my friend. Y'all are out of time. It's only going to be a little while before everyone in your church realizes y'all taught a bunch of nonsense. You didn't even know what you were saying. You disbelieved the words of Christ in favor of some doctrine that a random person came up with. You know, it's like your whole worldview is this spaceball nonsense that was invented in the 1930s. You know what I mean? They start with their evolution and other nonsense, and it was all built on a foundation of sand because it wasn't real. So they tried to slide a slab in underneath called the Big Bang. So all of you people who support the mainstream narrative, that is the broad way, dummy. What everyone believes is the broad path. Many are on it. You believe what the government says. You believe what the Smithsonian says. You believe what the news media tells you. You believe what your local pastor tells you at $8,000 a month. You're on the broad path, my friend. The narrow way is the one that we are walking on, the one that is less followed, the one that all of you institutionalists are going to have a really hard time dealing with as it wedges your church in half, drains you of all of your money, and scatters you all to the wind. Y'all are toast, and it's only a matter of time. I can't wait. I can't wait. You're cooked. There's only one king, and there's only one truth, and you guys, y'all don't seem to know what that is. To all my people here on the Little Season Party Bus, thank you for being here. I'm really excited to see how this whole thing plays out. God is definitely working. I can see it every day in this amazing community. You people are amazing people. I'm so blessed to be a part of all this. I'm grateful for the opportunity to join you guys. And like I said, I'm really excited to see where this goes. Churchianity dies. And in exchange, we get the kingdom. That's an amazing thing. We love Jesus. We love God. We don't believe in reincarnation. We're not Gnostics, and we know the truth. That puts us on a very high pedestal in my mind. That makes us a very small group, a very select group, walking on a very narrow path. Heck, it's going to get a little crazy. They're going to come after us, but I'm telling you, this party bus is going all the way. Destination kingdom. I'll see you there, all right? Take it easy, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you later on in the next one. Peace out.